Hi guys, you're welcome to another live stream with YouTube Live with Flourish Field Academy. And today we have a special topic that is in demand to learn about on our YouTube Live. And I'm just gonna take this time to invite us and tell us more about our YouTube live session for this period, for this year. We're gonna have an 8-week YouTube live session, today being the first. So remember, stay tuned to this channel. Remember to hit the notification bell icon so that whenever we're going live, you will be the first to get notified. And we have a lot of packages for us to learn on our YouTube live. So that means we'll be going on live every Friday by this same time throughout the month of April and also throughout the month of May. So it's going to be a fun-filled learning experience where we get to learn a whole lot. Please join us every Friday for our YouTube live. And in today's live video, we are going to be discussing generative AI. You heard me right. We're going to be talking about Gen AI or generative AI, as the case may be. As we all know, AI is an in-demand skill and course. There's virtually no part of our daily lives that hasn't been affected by artificial intelligence, starting from messaging on WhatsApp. You get to see the Meta AI now on your WhatsApp chats, and even on kids platforms like Scratch and Roblox, we now have AI embedded in there. And AI is meant to help enhance our creativity, and that's why we're going to be talking about generative AI in today's YouTube live. So first, we're going to be answering the question, what is Gen AI or generative AI? Imagine you have a robot friend that is perfect at writing stories, at either drawing pictures and making music, or even answering general questions. Imagine you have that kind of a robot friend. Well, that is exactly what generative AI is, and even makes it better. Because it is generative, it does not refurbish or regenerate previous responses. It creates a totally new one, hence its name generative, which means to generate. So whatever command you send to the AI, it's generated a new response entirely, never before seen. But there are some few things that we need to bear in mind while doing that, and that's why we're having these live sessions to learn all about generative AI and the things we need to bear in mind. Now, let's take a look at some few examples. Now, there are few examples of platforms that can help us with generative AI. We have ChatGPT, that's one. We have the Gemini AI platform, that's another one. And we have DALL-E, and we have the VO3, different ones. But for the sake of today's live, so that we limit it to just a few, we're going to be taking a look using the Gemini AI platform, as you can see on my screen, and also the DALL-E 2. We're going to be learning how to better prompt these AI tools to give us what we deserve, what we want, what we're expecting from the AI tool. Now, while we do that, I'm sure, because this is a new topic, I'm sure there are going to be some questions to be asked. So please, while we do that, feel free to ask any questions. Leave your questions in the chat, and we are going to be attending to them. Now, let's move on to the next part of what we need to discuss today. First, let's talk about how does the generative AI work? How does the generative AI work? Remember I said earlier that our AI, for us to think about our AI as a robot friend that can perform different tasks like stories, like generating different things. A generative AI works in one simple step. You sending a prompt, you sending a prompt, we're not talking about the kind of prompt now. You sending a prompt, and it takes that prompt, tries to think around that, and generate a never before seen response to you. That's what we are going to try to look at that now. If you look at my screen, I already created a previous response saying create an image of a retro movie poster, and this was what my Gemini AI gave me. Star Racers. I don't know if there's a movie with the Star Racers poster before now, but let's try to generate another one. Now I'm going to click on generate image, and I'm going to say a water, create a water colored movie poster. Now this is my prompt. I've just sent it to create a watercolored movie poster. That's what I wanted to do, and we just have to wait a few minutes. Try to fix my microphone real quick. Okay, still loading. Okay. Alright, microphone fixed. Now I've just done that. Let me try to download it again so that we can see it clearly. Now I'm gonna download it now, just a moment. It's downloaded and I'll save it. And once it's done, I'm gonna open this. It's loading. There we go. Now as you can see from my prompt, I said generate a watercolored movie poster, and you can see although both are movie posters, there's the first one I generated, a retro movie poster. It didn't generate the same movie, it didn't generate anything similar to what I generated next. That's why it's called generative AI. So for every singular prompt on any Gen AI platform, example of Gen AI platforms like Gemini, like your DALL-E, they would always give you new responses. I hope this is clear enough. If there are any questions, remember you're free to leave your questions in the chat and we'll all attend to your questions right here on this live. Now, let's move on to learning how our AI thinks. Alright? Now, our AI is able to learn new things, or Gen AI is able to learn new things just like a regular child. Now, kids learn by either reading books or maybe watching people, or sometimes listening to people or practicing what they see. That is very similar to how Gen AI learns. For example, for your AI, the more texts you send to your AI, the better the response. So for example, if we have a two-worded text like a let me try to do that, a boy, if I hit enter, now in my mind I want a black boy, an image of a black boy. So I'll hit enter. And let's see. see, it's generated. Sometimes it's got to think and generate your image. Okay, I think it's done thinking. Now notice how we got an image of a boy, but watch me describe it with more text. A black boy in school. Now I'll hit enter. Now I'm certain that I'm going to get an image of a black boy in school. Watch. First, I described what I wanted to generate as a boy, and because of my description, I got an image of a boy, a young boy. Now, let's see. Our AI is generating an image of a black boy in school next. Okay, now can you see we've got a new image of a black boy in school. Now this is more like what I wanted to generate, but I was only able to get my desired result, or at least closer to my desired result, by better prompting our AI. Remember, I said our AI learns like a kid. A young child, usually learns by listening, or by practicing, or generally looking at what elders do. Whereas for our AI, it learns by text. So the more the text you send to your AI to prompt your AI, the better its response to you. I sent just a 2-word text here, I got a response, and now I've sent a 5-word text here, and I got a better prompt. So the more the text, the better the prompt. Now let's do a short fun exercise. For all of us that are joining, please, I would like us to open gemini.google.com. The link should be in the description, in the comments, should be pinned in the comments. I'd like us to open gemini.google.com, and let's try to prompt our AI. All right, I'm going to try to create a prompt. Say create a story about, I'm going to leave that as an open-ended question. So for me, I'm going to create a story about a cat and a mouse. You can create a story about anything you want. All right, so all right, create a story about a cat and a mouse. I'd like us to try this out so you can see, and we're going to try to rephrase this prompt again to make it a lot longer and see how well our AI would create a new story for us. And notice, we're not going to have similar stories. That's why it's called generative AI. It is always going to generate a totally brand new royalty-free response for us. So I hit enter. It's still generating. Now I think my AI is done generating my story, and you can see I created a story about a cat and a mouse, and I can assure you, even from your end, if you create a story about a cat and a mouse, just like I have done, you'll get a totally different story. For each response that you have made. Okay, now you can do that not only for stories, you can do that for your images, which you can in turn use to create Scratch or Roblox or Python games if you want, or even JavaScript and HTML games, as the case may be. So we can begin to see how generative AI plays a very important role in enhancing how well we're able to create games, animations, different things using the tools already available to us. Tools like Scratch, like HTML and CSS, like Python, like Roblox, and the likes. Alright, now let's continue to learning more about generative AI. We're going to be talking now about prompts. Remember, we said earlier that AI learns with texts. So if we learn how to better prompt our AI, we'll then get better responses. Again, just a reminder, feel free to leave your comments or questions in the comments below, and we will be reacting to them in the live. Now let's talk about prompts. What is a prompt? Well, excuse me. A prompt is just simply what you tell the AI. That's just what a prompt is. A prompt is what you tell your AI. And fun fact, in my books, I don't think there's anything as a bad prompt. Because like I said, a prompt is what you tell the AI. So you can literally tell your AI anything. So in my books, there's nothing like a bad prompt. However, what we have is a good prompt and a better prompt. We've got a good prompt and a better prompt. One major characteristics of a good prompt is it tells the AI something. That's what a prompt is. But a better prompt has a lot more text explaining different aspects of what you want from your AI. For example, I'll give you an example of a good prompt. Let me come up with one thing. Write a funny story about a lazy lion. For example, let's say I want to prompt. I say, write a funny story about a lazy lion. Now, this is an example of what I call a good prompt. Remember, I said there's no such thing as a bad prompt in my books. I'm sure there are some other people might disagree with that, but in my books, I don't think there's anything as a bad prompt. We only have good prompts and better prompts. So this is one example of a good prompt. It is short. That's why I called it a good prompt. And remember, earlier in the live, we said an AI learns by texts. So the more text you feed your AI with, the better the response it gives you. So if I say write a funny story about a lazy lion, let's see what the AI generates. Now, can we see what we're able to generate by having just a simply good prompt? But if we read this, it's telling us the lion is the CEO of a Savannah Slot Corporation, because it's really just giving us back a funny story about a lazy lion, and in this case, it is on its own, assuming the lion is the CEO of a corporation. I don't know why that. But now let's make this same prompt a better prompt. I'll probably write something in the lines of write a funny story about a lazy lion who doesn't want to hunt and becomes a let me see, let's see, and becomes a chef. So now if you look at it now, you'd see, write a funny story about a lazy lion. Hold on. Write a funny story about a lazy lion who doesn't want to hunt and becomes a chef. If I send this, this is what we call a better prompt. You can see we have a lot more text, which means if you look at my result now, it's now beginning to think of a lion as a king of the jungle rather than a CEO. If you look at the first prompt, although it's a good prompt, it thought of the lion as a CEO of a corporation, which I don't quite agree with. But with a better prompt, it's now beginning to think of the lion as a king of the jungle. Have we now been able to learn something about how to prompt? Don't worry, we're going to still learn more about that. We're going to learn more about how to prompt, how better to prompt. But I think we have to take a pause here, and I'll see you guys again in our next Friday's live, where we get to learn what we can build with generative AI, how we can build them, and even build things right on the live together. So I'm gonna want to see you guys in our next live next Friday. Remember, we said this happens every Friday throughout the month of April and throughout the month of May. So we're going to be learning new things, and in our next lessons we're going to be learning how to build things with generative AI and also what we can build. And fun fact, if you join our live in our next meeting, in our next lesson, we'll be leaving out a proper way to structure your prompts. So that will be a free guide to proper way to structure your prompts using generative AI. So I'll see you guys in our next